I'm so fortunate to be talking to you, Revathy. It's, I think, everyone from my generation watched Mona Ragam and thought that could be me. You were just 20. Just think of, the mind boggles. What was it like? I know you've been asked this question thousands of times, but it's such a defining film in your career. What was it like to be that girl in Mani Ratnam's film, in Mani Ratnam's imagination? And a lot of it was actually based on you as well, I think. Talk a little about it.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. Kaveri, Maunaragam was a film that happened. In those days, that was, I think, Mani's fourth film or something. And there was nobody who wanted to make that film, the producers. And I remember, because I had already done a film with him, Pagal Nilavu. And during that film, Mani happened to narrate the story. And I said, whenever you make this film, I'm in it. So it was that kind of a friendship. And it took time. And then in the end, the story is so beautiful that his brother decided to produce it. And it happened. That film is very close to my heart because that was one of the first films in my career where there was the performance was very muted, very realistic. I did a lot of commercial films where we had a lot of songs and dances also. Yeah. But there was something about this film, and in 1986, when this film was made, if a girl talked about divorce, it was not a good thing because she is immediately termed as being defiant and not a good girl. So it was something different, but today I hear a lot of actors who tell me, that is the one film I wish I had done. Absolutely. So I'm happy I did it.
And of all ages, I think even now young women who enter the industry would love to play roles like that. But those roles aren't necessarily written in, as well. Although we talk a lot about women-oriented cinema, we haven't got that far, have we?
No, there are women-oriented films, Kaveri. It's just that stories have changed, storytelling has changed, filmmaking has changed. And I think the importance of characterizations and all that has changed over the years. Like the society itself has changed. The way you and me dress today has changed when the way we dressed in the 80s. So everything has changed. So automatically film industry also changes.
Right. Now, I think you're unique in that you've acted across industries, not just the 4 southern industries, but also Hindi. And, like Shonali Bose's Margarita with a Straw would be considered English, I suppose. So that felicity of language, is it just because you were from an army background, you traveled everywhere, or how has it come to you?
Absolutely. My father is a retired army officer, and we moved places every 2 or 3 years.
Where all did you go?
I think starting from Mathura, it was Dehradun, Hyderabad, Kashmir, and the south, of course, Chennai.
Right.
So, all around, all over. And so you tend to adapt easily. And basically, I did not have an accent because, I was not really fluent in any language. So it took me time to understand languages. Like my Malayalam was very bad, and the Malayalis felt that, I was not speaking Malayalam. The Tamil was all equally bad, and they felt that I was not.
Anyway, you're from Palakkad, which is...
which is at the border. So at home, I would speak the Palakkad Tamil, which is neither Malayalam or Tamil. So it took me some time to understand the language, speak it, and thankfully, I didn't have an accent, so it was easy for me to handle all the languages.
So you could even act opposite Salman Khan in Love.
Yes, that was one of my only crazy romantic films, I suppose. The original was in Telugu, called Prema.
Which you were in as well.
Yes, I was in it. and they wanted me to act, do the same role in Hindi.
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it. I loved it. I mean, the director Suresh Krishna was a good friend of mine, and when he narrated the story, I kind of laughed it. I said, "Wow!" Of the first, even in my younger days, I did not get to do the typical romance film where you have a rich girl and a poor boy and love between them, and you're burning photographs and mixing it in your tea and drinking and things like that. That never happened before that. So it was very interesting, and I loved the songs. Ilayaraja's fabulous songs, and in the Telugu we had S.P. Balasubramaniam doing one of the roles, which was portrayed by. Don't tell me I've forgotten in Hindi.
But,
okay. So SPB is the one movies. I remember. So the entire shooting and everything was really wonderful, memorable.
Right. So you've recently come back, thankfully, after a period of, I think, a time when you were trying to figure out what you wanted to do,
I think it
or
was
the
both
world
ways.
was trying to figure out what to do with you. Is that...
I like that, the world was trying to figure out.
Does that happen only to women in a certain age period, or, does that happen to all actors?
I think mostly the female actors, because there is a phase where you are playing the lead role, and then you go into characters. And when you're placed into characters, we are also confused. You don't know whether you want to go ahead with that. And then you try to get meteor roles, which are very written in very few numbers. So then it's a kind of a balance you're trying to create, because you've done such fabulous films, and then you're just, given characters. And so it took that.
And you're told that, it's a great script, and when you get the role, you'll know. But you know that, it won't be what they're telling you. Has that happened to you?
Yeah, that has happened to me quite a few times, where you realize that you're just there because, you bring a little bit of character to the role that you're playing. So it is, it's a confused period, between the lead role to transitioning into the character roles. But then, you decide, okay, this is what I want to do and this is what I do not want to do. And that is when you pave the path again.
Right.
Yeah.
And in your case, it was very clear that you would act where you wanted to, if it was worth it, and you would direct.
It was very clear for me from the very beginning, Kaveri, because I was introduced by a director who was very well known in the 80s, Bharati Raja. So anybody who was introduced by Bharati Raja in his film was somebody whom all the industries looked up to.
Right.
So I was blessed that I was introduced by Bharati Raja, and the film did extremely well. So he he helped me and he taught me that, you should listen to scripts and then decide according to what you want to do, and, and you can always say no. Because I didn't know, since I'm not from a family of filmmakers, and we have absolutely no background in the film industry. So it was a learning process. But from the very beginning, I had mentors like him who helped me. And so it was always listening to the script and then deciding.
Right. But there were some things like Thevar Magan, which you did because the director told you. And when it turned out to be one of the most beautiful performances of your career. That also happens when you trust the filmmaker, right?
That has to be there. From the very beginning, I mean, in our times, we didn't have scripts to read.
I love that, in our times.
Yeah. We didn't have scripts to read, okay? There would be the director or the writer who would come and narrate the knot of the film, or a narration which would maybe not take more than half an hour. And then it is a decision that we have to make on that. And the decision is made with total trust that this director will, make a great film out of this narration. And we also trusted our producers who kind of, it was just a verbal commitment. I did not sign on contracts until 2000. So it was just on a verbal trust. So a lot of things in the film industry worked on trust. So yes, trusting a director, and when a director like Bharathan, called me and said that there is this role and I want you to come and shoot day after tomorrow in this film because we are having an issue and I want you to fill in. I said, yes, I'm coming, because...
Did he tell you who was in the movie?
No, yes, of course he told me. He said it's opposite Kamal. And so then, yes.
And Shivaji Ganeshan.
Shivaji sir,
movie.
Of course.
Yeah. What was it like working with these two giants?
I had already done a film with Shivaji sir, and I had already done a film with Kamalji.
The dancing one. I can never forget
that. I did two of them. One
right.
was called Kaideen Diary, which was with Bharat Raja, and the other was Punage Manu.
Right.
So I had worked with both of them.
Some terrific dances there. I know you're a Bharatnatyam dancer, but the kind of dancing you did there was of another level, right?
I think Indian film industry needs actors and actresses to be able to dance.
Yeah.
And we need actors who can fight. So only then you can be an actor. So, so...
Yeah, now the women also have to fight because they get action roles.
Yes. That's good, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved you in Toothpuri, by the way, where you have quite a bit of action, right? You're just swooping down on people and trying to extinguish that. What was that like, being in this
Toothpuri was...
series?
Yeah, it was nice because it had a kind of a slight negative tinge to the character. And Luna Luca is a witch, and I really liked the role. It kind of challenged me as an actor. And I enjoyed doing it. Yeah.
To get back to Tevar Magan, so here you were told that you have to show up day after tomorrow, and there's this role where you're playing this really innocent, beautiful village girl who's,
The girl called Panchavarnam.
Yes.
So, yes, actually the night I arrived, Bharathan sir gave me a script and I was shocked. We got to see complete scripts very rarely then. And so I just sat and read it as soon as I landed. And then I went and met Bharathan sir and I said, it is a tough role because it's been a while since I played a village belle, and that girl was extremely innocent,
so shy and so innocent.
But had intelligence that comes from the soil that they are born in. So I really liked it, of course, and we started immediately. There's no thinking about I'm working with Kamalji or Shivaji sir.
Right.
It was only about the role, that I had to do right, and I had to get into the skin of Panchavarnam. And for that, I looked up to the director, Bharathan. And the team was fabulous. Bharathan, P.C. Sriram, Ilayaraja, what more do you want?
And you've seen so many legends grow along with your own legendary career. You've seen people like A.R. Rahman when he was just a kid, right? I think he just made that computer music, as it was called. Talk a little about some of these people you've seen, like Tota Tarani, A.R. Rahman. I mean, looking at their careers and how they've evolved.
I think all of us grew together. A.R. Rahman, his Punay Manan had a very interesting music bit. I don't know how many of you have heard that music bit. It is one of the most played music bits those days. And Mr. Balachandar, KB sir is the...
twinning outfits, the
the twinning outfits. But that was not for that song. This is different. And K. Balachandar, he came and said, we have music which is programmed on a computer, and we called it the computer music. And it was new then, and it was Raja sir's son, Karthik, and they said there's a young boy, Dilip, who has done this, and he's fabulous. He's a real, prodigy kind of a thing. And we heard it, and we were very thrilled. And later I met him, for the National Awards. because I happened to win a national award in
Yeah.
the same year that he won national award for Roja, his first film. And it was wonderful meeting him. Then we worked together in Pudiyamugam, where, Suresh had directed the film and we
Right.
produced the film. So it's wonderful. And even now when we meet, we remember. Recently, actually, when I went to his studio, he showed me the computer that on which he worked on.
Oh, the first
The
one.
first music.
Yeah.
It was
He still
so
kept it
wonderful.
there.
He's kept it. Actually, he went away. He had to sell it because he needed money, and then he bought it
Oh.
back.
Wow, what a
So
story.
yeah, that itself has a story. So
Yeah.
all these people have fabulous stories.
Right.
Tarani also, I've seen him, of course, he had started working much before. He was not maybe talked about, but Mauna Ragam was my first film with him.
And such a realistic set.
Absolutely.
Did you actually shoot in Defense Colony for that? Or?
No. It was shot in a house, a real house in Kilpauk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In Kilpauk?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But it just looks so Delhi, right?
It's such a beautiful home. I still remember the owner of the house, Shana.
Yeah.
Was her name, and we were all fascinated by that house.
You really want to take it home with you.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful
And
house.
Mani Ratnam has an eye for, aesthetics.
Yeah.
And he creates a specific look for every film of his.
Right.
And he connects the characters with the location, with the costume, with the space, everything. He kind of connects his story with a specific look. And that is the beauty even today in Mani Ratnam films.
Yeah. Anjali, for instance, you played a mom, which was fairly early in your career, right? Something that I think most leading ladies steer away
Not
from.
necessarily, even then, those days,
Yeah.
I mean, whether it was the actors or the actresses, I mean, we put gray hair and became even mothers of
Right.
teenage kids. It was a role.
Right.
It didn't, you were not put in that slot then. So things changed later. But, so Anjali, it never occurred to me that it's a mom or anything. It was the story, the connect that I had with the story, and the fact that Mani Ratnam is directing it.
Yeah.
So all put together, Anjali was a great film for me to be part of.
And I think the way he handled those kids
Brilliant.
is just amazing, right?
Brilliant. I mean, that's the human being behind the director Mani Ratnam. He would shoot with them on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they did not miss their school. So every Friday, by lunchtime, they would be there. They would be rehearsing their scenes or the songs or the steps. And Saturday, Sunday was their shoot. And only on holidays he would shoot with them. Unless otherwise there was something that very important. Of course, the 3 main kids were there with us, but the others only on the weekends.
And again, the set, was it an actual...
It was not an actual location.
It was?
It was, no.
No.
It was a set built for the film.
Wow.
Because Mani Ratnam knew that it's going to be very tough to shoot with so many kids. So Toda Tarni created that entire colony in Venus Studio. So the roads, the basketball court, the facade of the apartments.
No, even the staircase, I still remember that.
Staircase is a real location.
Okay, because that shot where you're running away is quite an amazing shot, right?
Yeah.
What did you learn from being with such terrific directors, cinematographers? Were you always very observant? Did you know you were going to end up as a director?
No, I did not plan, but I think working with such amazing directors, cinematographers, music directors, art directors, I became very passionate about filmmaking. I loved the job. I loved the fact that every art in the world becomes a part of a movie. Every talent becomes part of a movie. And only then a movie becomes beautiful. So that is what I learned from all of them. And I think over the years, I realized that I would also like to tell stories in a way that I would like to. And it took me 18 years to make my first film, after I came, Mitra, my friend. So that was also because this friend of mine, Priya, who also assisted Maniratnam and has made her own films as a director, when she told this story, I really liked it and I wanted to act in it. It was not planned to be my directorial venture, but then as we kept speaking, it kind of changed from a Hindi Tamil difference and to a US and India generation gap. So as it developed, then that's when I requested Priya, and she was generous enough to, part with that story for me to direct.
Right. Yeah. And then Phir Milenge, which again dealt with something that was so very rarely talked about in those days. And
no, that was the time when the disease called HIV and AIDS became the talk of the town. Everybody was, there was a fear of what the condition is, and there was actually practically untouchability kind of thing. Misinterpreted information, lot of other things were happening, and I knew a group that was working with HIV positive persons, and I also knew a few people who passed away. So it became very important for me to talk about it, and I was happy that there was a producer who wanted to do it, and we kind of loosely based it on Philadelphia, one of my favorite films. So and then the film happened.
And Salman did a cameo, I think, in it.
Yeah,
right?
Salman played a very important role, and I did not expect him to play the HIV positive boyfriend, but he was very nice, very kind to have done that.
I think he still remembered the girl from Love.
Yeah. Yes.
And then most recently, Salam Venki, again, a very difficult subject, and the mother-son relationship, which is so filled with so much emotion, and there's such a sense of grief and sorrow that permeates the film, but it's also very hopeful at the end of the day, which is very surprising. But your ability to handle grief and death and sorrow, what draws you to such stories?
Wow, nobody has observed that, but thank you for that observation. But I think basically, I feel that life is so much larger, and it's wonderful, and a lot of people do live well, with a smile on their face, going through hurdles that life has thrown, that health has thrown, or people around them have thrown in front of them. And I admire such people, and I've known many such people personally. So I just feel that these stories need to be told. And Salam Venki was another story, because I met Venkatesh's mother maybe in 2006, 2007. She had just lost a son in 2004. And I found her to be a kind of, the kind of strength that she showed, and the way she spoke. I just felt her story needed to be told, her son's story, and their, the relationship.
Yeah.
So that is how Salam Venki happened. It took a long time for any producer to believe in it and put money to make the film. But I think when it started, I think the right people came into the film with Kajol and Amir Khan and Rajiv, Rahul. Every single person who played worked in that film. And one of the most amazing actors that I've come across is the boy Vishal Jethwa.
Oh yes.
He was so wonderful. He was so committed, and so sometimes things happen when it has to.
Yeah, and I think it came at a time when, we were also just emerging from COVID, and we had also seen a lot of death and sorrow. So at some point, I think it connected with a lot of us.
Thank you for saying it connected, but a lot of people said, why are you making a film at this time when we've just gone through a lot of, hell in our lives, losing so many loved ones. So I heard both, but then I had to tell the story. And for me, Salam Venki is a story of life well lived.
Absolutely.
Venkatesh lived every moment of his life well. He fought it well. And mother is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you're drawn to such mothers. I mean, look at Margarita with the straw. The mother there, again, she's very real. She has her struggles. But your mothers are not they're not wishy-washy, deified goddess-like mothers. They're very real. They have emotions like your Bhutakalam, the mother in Bhutakalam. She gets angry. I mean, that's how mums are. I mean, that's how we...
Nobody is perfect.
Exactly.
And I think mums become mothers for the first time with their firstborn.
Yeah.
So they are also learning. I mean,
Yeah.
every woman who becomes a mother for the first time, she's also learning. And she does make mistakes. She tries to be the perfect mother.
But society
there is
doesn't
nothing like that.
necessarily allow you to make those mistakes. It's very judgmental.
I mean, I don't know if, the people close to us are judgmental, but I think we make a hue and cry about being judgmental. I find that, I became a mother very late in my life, and every single person around me was so supportive. So I don't know.
They never asked you, when are you going to give us the good news? Or
No, all that happened at the very beginning, okay. And then of course things didn't work out. But what I'm saying is this thing about being judgmental about mothers and things like that. I think it happens in the society because of certain norms, or I don't know what it is. But I have found people around me very supportive, and who have helped me, especially my mother. She has brought us up without any guidance of her mother, because she was not alive, or her mother-in-law, because she didn't want to be part of it. But she brought us up the way her heart told her to. And she told me the same thing. You are the mother, you make the decision.
Don't go by what you've heard or what people tell you.
No. So it is about, I think the personality that you are, that you bring up your children.
Right. I want you to talk a little about your work with this Women in Cinema Collective in
WCC,
which is
yeah.
specifically in the Malayalam film industry. And we've seen so much of misogyny there. I just wonder, when you were in the industry in your early years, I don't think anyone dared to mess around with you. But did you see things happening around you with women, perhaps, which disturbed you? But at that point, I think none of us had the tools or the language to articulate our anger, when things like this were happening. Do you sometimes look back and think, I wish I had spoken up then, or I wish I had said this then?
Kaveri, in the 80s, 90s, we did not have mobile phones.
Yeah.
And I attribute a lot of issues with the mobile phones and the messaging. Because
why is that?
The reason is, when you have to see a person and tell them directly in their eye that, I want to, maybe I just want to be with you,
Yeah.
It's not very easy. You have to look into somebody's eyes and say it. But now it is SMS.
Right.
You just say that, come and meet me, have a coffee with me, or,
Or swipe left,
it
right,
is so,
whatever you do.
It is so easy,
Yeah.
So there is a difference in communication. So those days it was much tougher. Yes, wherever there are men and women, there is a bit of flirting, and that is part of hormones, and that's fine, But when you go beyond a certain, respectable norm, then there has to be consent. Those days we didn't have a term called consent,
We didn't even know what it
We didn't even know about it. So it would be diplomatically smile and say no, or whatever we wanted at that time. And, we would maybe share it with somebody whom we knew very close, or in the film industry, it is very difficult to share a lot of things, because then it gets around and it becomes very difficult. You don't know whom to trust and whom not to trust. But the good thing personally is, my mother was very open with me, and she talked to me about good touch and bad touch even then.
Okay.
And she always said that,
Because you were very young.
I was very young. I was very young. I was 17 when I entered, yes.
Yeah.
And, but, we were brought up differently. I was brought up where I could speak up. But in the same era, there were girls and boys who didn't know how to speak up.
Yeah.
So it is about your bringing up in the end, the kind of circumstances that you were in, and the way the parents told you, gave you the strength. So you stand up on your feet or stand up against for yourself, against others for yourself. So even then, there were people, there were incidents where sometimes I feel, oof, I should have just, given him a piece of my mind. Instead, I just smiled and said, oh, sorry, I have something else to do, kind of a thing, So you just say it, in a very diplomatic, polite, nice way. I was thinking, why was I so nice?
Why were you so polite?
Yeah, so polite. And yes, I mean...
What would you have done now? What would the Revathy of today have done then?
I don't know, but I would have maybe just told them, sorry, I'm not interested in you, on point blank, instead of smiling and saying, no, I want to go, or, whatever nonsense I would have said then. These days, what is happening is the youngsters have this messaging, which makes it easier for them to, kind of ask questions, which could go beyond decency.
Yeah.
And the girls also, like recently in WCC, we had a conversation. We need to tell what emojis mean.
Yeah.
I think emojis are a huge issue because you don't understand what a particular emoji means. And you give out the wrong message by putting emojis. When you have a professional conversation, do not use emojis.
Yes. Do not use them ever.
Never. I mean, professionally, you cannot be using emojis. And what you need to say, you have to say. But see, it's about your work. If you say something, you may not get work.
Yeah.
So you're constantly, kids are constantly balancing themselves. It is a very tough period they're going through.
Yeah.
So I can only individually, when WCC gets certain individual instances, we are able to try and, balance it out and tell them what can be done and what cannot be done. But I realize it's a very tough period we are living, and the kids are going through a lot more than I have ever been through.
Are there some male colleagues from the Malayalam film industry that you particularly remember as being very, very borderline sexist and, do you...
Kaveri, I don't think this is a platform where I want to talk about it. But yes, I mean, we do, meet people, we do interact. I have worked with people. And we have handled it in a different way. And you realize that they are very different today.
Yeah.
And the way they are handling younger kids in the industry.
They've changed too, perhaps.
Things have changed. And it's very hurting. And sometimes I've wondered, how did I work with these people, whether it is, technicians or actors. There are certain people you don't understand, that there is an image and there is a real person, So art and the artist, like we call it. So these are things
do you forgive
that
the artist because of his art? Is one of those questions that...
I don't now.
You don't?
I don't forgive the artist because of the art anymore. And I just keep away from the artist if I feel that,
That's a very strong position.
Yeah,
but
I have decided to take that position. I am at a time where I can take that position. I'm privileged to do that. Many are not, sadly.
So Revathy, to end with, because we're here in Chennai. This is your adopted home, I think. You've sort of lived here, for how many years now?
My father decided to settle here after retirement, premature retirement, because I was very interested in dance. And my dance school is in Triplicane, Saraswati Gananilayam. It's still running. It's more than 80 years old now. So I have been learning there, and I basically was a professional dancer until 2000, when after that I kind of stayed out of it.
and you're raising your daughter and taking care of your parents at the same time.
That's our culture, isn't it?
It is. But it's also something that I think we women take to naturally, right? I think the nurturing
I think all
role.
kids, a lot of kids take
Yeah.
to naturally, Kaveri. I wouldn't gender specify here because I've seen some of my friends taking care of their parents so beautifully, even though they are not married. I mean, their wives are not around or anything, but they are still taking care of their parents.
Right. I think it's been absolutely wonderful. I wish I could get you to do that.
No.
What is that lovely song? I know I cannot pronounce it yet. Yeah, could you? Do you think you could just?
No.
No, you don't want to do that. But it's just one of those iconic songs, and whenever I see its picturization.
I have to tell you a story behind this.
Yeah.
So what happened is there was another actor who was supposed to play my role, and somehow it didn't work out. A day's shoot or something, it didn't work out. The dates were in issues. Suddenly, the entire story, the entire script had to be changed. And Bharathan sir and Kamalji sat down and worked on the script. It is Kamalji's dialogue. Yeah. He has written the dialogue for the film. So when this song came and they said we have to record this song, Raja sir actually asked me if I could come and speak those lines in my voice, because the first few lines are the character singing it in a very hushed tone without music, and then it goes into the song. But sadly, I was shooting for Marubadi. It was Balu Mahendra's film, and that day was really tight, and Balu sir also tried his best to let me go, and the journey up and down to the studio itself would have taken me about 2 hours and couple of hours, then the whole day would have gone. So it was a very tight shoot and I couldn't go, and I was so upset, But then later, when we were dubbing for the film, the first few lines are sung by me. Kamalji has sung the song and he wanted me to sing. I said, there's no way I can sing. I'm a terrible singer.
But he can do everything, no?
He's multi-talented. Yeah. He's amazing. So, but then the way Janakyamma sang that song, it was a challenge for me to kind of lip it exactly the way he did it. And she did it, sorry. And the way, they did that sound with the mouth, it took me a lot of practice to get it right. So it was very interesting. And Kamalji was extremely helpful to do that.
Wonderful. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so very much. A huge round of applause, I think, ladies and gentlemen, to one of the most iconic actors. I know icon is used very generally now, but I think this is one person who truly deserves it. Thank you so much, Revathy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.